Hashem Na'aseh V'Natzliach. Shiur Torah, thank you very much for inviting me. You can talk freely, just any questions you have. If there's any specific issues or questions that you want to ask or anything, you can interrupt me and talk. It's not just a lecture where I just talk. It's for you. If you have something interesting that you want me to talk about, by all means, it's the whole goal is for all of us to learn together. Not necessarily just for me to talk, and if you're not interested in it, then let's find something else you're interested in. Baruch Hashem, the Torah is very, very interesting. First of all, I'd like to thank Fidel Pablos for inviting me here to Miami. It's really an honor to be here because, again, you want to spread Torah everywhere. The problem with Torah today is that the Torah itself has not changed. Since the day we got it in Mount Sinai, a little over 3,300 years ago, nothing's changed. People, on the other hand, the desires haven't changed because they've always had desires, but we've become a little bit more sophisticated than we need to be, where in the old days, even if you just look at our grandparents, 100 years ago, 150 years ago, 200 years ago, if a rabbi came to somebody and told him, listen, this is what God said, he said, okay, God said it, I'm going to do it. God said you need to be modest, I'm going to be modest. God said you need to eat kosher, eat kosher. No one asked any question. No one had the audacity to ask a question, well, what if maybe God is wrong? Or maybe there isn't a God? Or maybe this, or maybe that? Nobody would even dare to do that. It was very few people were not religious in the old days. In today's age, people think that they're smarter than God. In today's age, people think that they're smarter than what they really are. And they start thinking that, listen, maybe this book is not real. Maybe this book has mistakes. Maybe this book is not as advanced as my iPad. Maybe this, Moses didn't have an iPad. I have an iPad, so I'm better than Moses. Moses didn't have a car. We have cars today, so maybe the Torah is not applicable. Maybe it's okay to drive on Shabbat, because back then they didn't have cars, so that's the reason why they didn't drive on Shabbat. But Moses didn't have a car. I have a car, but God probably understands. And they start making up new rules. But it's not in the Torah. It's not in the Torah. Now, the one thing I say to people usually when they are trying to, in essence, not say that the Torah is not real, but trying to argue that maybe it changed. Maybe it changed. Okay, it's real. We got it in Mount Sinai. Even the Goyim, even the Christians and the Catholics and the Arabs, they all agree that we got the Torah. The Am Yisrael got the Torah in Mount Sinai. Everyone agrees. No one says Am Yisrael didn't get the Torah, because their religions are based on ours. We got it first, and then about 1,500 years later, Christianity started, and about 2,000 years later, the Islam started. So, but their religion says that our book is the first book, and their book is the second book. Obviously, we don't agree, but okay, fine. At least they say that our book is legitimate. The only people that say our book is not legitimate are usually Jews. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Usually it's the Jews that say that our book is not good, and that's the thing. It's absurd, but it's true. Our biggest enemies are ourselves. So today, when you see some people, listen, okay, maybe we got the Torah, maybe it's real, but maybe it's not applicable anymore. Maybe it's not relevant to today. Maybe back then, because they didn't have cars, then no one drove on Shabbat. But today we have cars, so God understands. And the reality of it is that, as absurd as it sounds, many people make a legitimate lifestyle thinking that way and operating their life with that in mind, thinking that, God understands me. I'm not going to keep all of the rules, but God understands that it's too difficult for me. It's too difficult for me to eat kosher all the time. I have to have McDonald's once a week. It's too difficult for me to be with one woman. I have to have a different woman every other day. Wow. It's too difficult for me to be modest, so I have to show my whole body to the world. It's too difficult for me to be a nice person. I have to yell at least at one person every day. Everyone says, if it's too difficult, so God understands me. So when you think about all of that, then what you're saying, if someone really thinks that way, now they're saying on one hand that God is real, and the sages are real, Moses is real, everything is real, but they are an exception. People today are an exception. So in essence, what we're saying is that Yaakov Avinu, and everyone else, they're all fools. They all followed the law. They all followed everything that God said. They're in Gan Eden. They're in a great position. But we don't have to follow. And we're going to be in the same place. How could that be? If God would say, if we don't do anything, if we don't follow the laws, God dictated at Mount Sinai, we don't follow them, we make up our own laws, and we go up there and we say, God, you understood me, right? It's okay for me not to keep Shabbat, not to eat kosher, not to do all these things. You understand me? If God says yes, that cancels the entire Torah. Because it makes the Torah not real. Because God says that this Torah is eternal, it's forever. It cannot change. God also said that He doesn't change. He doesn't think like man. He doesn't have a mind like us. He doesn't think like us. He doesn't look like us. He doesn't have an image. Whatever He says, it's not an opinion. It's not maybe He's going to change His mind like we change our mind every 5 minutes. One day we want this dress, another day we want another dress. One day we like our car, the next day we like our neighbor's car. Have you ever noticed that you always like your neighbor's car better than yours? It's the same car, but his car is a different color, but you always like his better? That's human beings. We always like somebody else's stuff. The grass is always greener on the other side. So people are constantly trying to humanize God. They're trying to make Him like us. They want to make everyone believe that God thinks like us, and maybe He changed His mind, maybe He was wrong, maybe He made a mistake, chas v'shalom. Now, if God is able to make a mistake, if God is able to change His mind, if God thinks like us, then the reality of it is that He's not God. He's just another person. God didn't say that He was another person. He specifically said in the Torah that He's not a person. This is actually one of the best things to argue against Christianity that says, maybe God came in a human form, and it was a person, and then He died, and then He came back, and then something else happened. People are constantly trying to humanize God. They feel that if God is human, they can connect to Him more. The reality of it is that if God was human, it's impossible to connect to Him. Because most people don't like other people. We like a few people. We have a few friends. Everyone has a couple of friends. B'ezrat Hashem, we have, a few good ones. And that's it. Everybody else is somebody else. I know him. Hi, bye. But that's it. He's not coming to my house having dinner every night. I don't want him in my house every day. Some people don't even want their family to come over every day because you want your own privacy. You want your own life. You want, that's it. I don't want everybody on my head all day. Right? So most people don't really like everyone. They like a few people. So if God was a person, what's to say that we're going to like Him? So what ended up happening, the next thing that people did, said, no, I love God because He gives me a bunch of stuff. He gives me a car, He gives me a house, He gives me kids, He gives me this, He gives me this. So you turn God into Santa Claus. Another human. If He gives me stuff, then I like Him. So what happens if He doesn't give it to you? Well, then you don't like Him? And if you don't like Him, you don't have to follow what He says? So that's the thing. That's the problem. When you humanize God, it's not God anymore. The Rambam said that he was saying about himself, if I was able to understand God, if I was able to understand Him, really understand Him like I understand another person, I would be Him. To expect us to understand everything He did and why He did it is impossible. He's above us. He's divine. And that's one of the main things we have to understand. When we're reading all of these parashot in the Torah, some of the things that are happening here are very easy to understand. Some of the things are beyond us. Some of the things we don't understand. Why did God let this righteous person, whether it's Avraham or Yaakov or Yitzchak or Moshe or any of that, all of the sages, if you notice, they all have one thing in common. They all suffered. Our natural human inclination is to think that if we're righteous, if we do what Hashem says, that means that we should live a wonderful life with no problems. Right? If I do everything that Hashem says, why should I have any problems? But that's a human God. A human God, if it's Santa Claus, if you're a good boy, you get presents. Right? You get presents. If you're a good boy. If you're a bad boy, you don't get presents. That's a human God. The real God, I told you that you're coming here, you're coming to this world is like a corridor, it's like a hallway. It's a small little section of a really, really big palace. A small little section of a really, really big palace. This life we live 60, 70, 100 years, 120 years, Bezat Hashem. But that's it. Real life is eternal. So here, you come here to do the work. Here, you come here to do the mitzvot, to earn yourself a spot in the real world. Not that this is the real world. This world is for work. This world is not meant to be easy. This world is not meant to be fun. And yeah, you can have fun if, Bezat Hashem, all of us have some times that we have fun. We're not all supposed to be tortured all day. But at the same time, no one is supposed to live a mindset where if I do what Hashem said, then my life is supposed to be perfect. Because we see from the most perfect people in creation, their life wasn't perfect. Can we say that we're the same thing as Moshe Rabbeinu? Can we say that we're the same thing as Yaakov Avinu or even his little finger? We can't. And they had a difficult life. So in this week's parasha, it starts with a big test, the next big test that Yaakov had after leaving Lavan. And Lavan was a big rasha. He was not only an evil person, but he also had powers. He was a wizard. And from him, as we talked about in yesterday's shiur and also last week, is that he had such powers that everyone was scared of him, including Esav. Even Esav the Rasha, Yaakov's brother, that was the biggest gangster over there, even he was scared of Lavan. Nobody messed with Lavan. The sages say that either Lavan himself was a Gilgul and eventually became Bilam. The Bilam was the prophet that tried to destroy Am Yisrael later on with Moshe Rabbeinu, and obviously failed, but got close to it. Or Bilam was his grandson. Now, to go into Bilam, when you think about the story of Bilam and how he succeeded in almost destroying Am Yisrael, it wasn't from his curse. Bilam had the ability that Moshe Rabbeinu even didn't have. Bilam, according to Masechet Brachot, it said Bilam knew exactly when Hashem was mad. There's what they call a rega. Rega is like a moment. It's now no defining time of it. A moment, like however long it takes you to say moment, is how long a moment is. So let's say it's a second. There's a second in the day that Hashem is not necessarily angry like you and I are angry, but is upset at, obviously, Am Yisrael and the world not doing what he really wrote for them to do, not following the instructions. There's only one moment a day. And anyone that knows that moment can ask Hashem to do whatever he wants, and usually not a good thing. So Bilam knew that moment. He was the only one in the world that ever knew it. And he wanted to use that time to ask Hashem to destroy his own nation, to destroy the Jews. When the time came in Bilam and Balak, which we'll learn about both of them in a few months, tried to do this, it didn't work. Hashem, instead of turning the curse that Bilam had in cursing Am Yisrael, he turned it into a blessing. But how come 24,000 Jews died anyway? They didn't die because of the curse. They died because of Bilam's advice to Balak, and he said, listen, the Jewish God, he doesn't like promiscuity. He doesn't like when women and men get together and just without marriage, without worrying if they're Jewish, not Jewish. He doesn't like that stuff. He doesn't like people that act like prostitutes. He doesn't like that people that want a new girlfriend every day. If you send your girls to them, get the Jews to make sins, he'll destroy them for you. You don't have to bring any wars, you don't have to bring any spears, nothing. And we see something very special from the story of how much Hashem doesn't like immodesty. As soon as the women arrived to the Jews, and the Jews started sinning with them, Hashem didn't ask any questions. He didn't send a warning signal. He just started destroying. In a matter of seconds, 24,000 Jews died. And it only stopped when Pinchas, in Parashat Pinchas we're going to learn this, Pinchas took a spear and took the Zimri, the leader of the Shimon tribe, while he was with Cosbi, the woman, the Midianite woman, while they were together, and killed them both on the spot. And that's when the plague stopped. In a matter of seconds, if he wouldn't have done it, a few more seconds, all of Am Yisrael would have died. None of us would be here today. Now, why do I mention this story? Because most people today, especially, we live in Florida. In Florida, a lot of people forgot what clothing is. They forgot. They leave it at home. They have clothes at home. They come outside naked, and it's a problem. Hashem doesn't like it. No, it's true. It's true. Really, you walk around Miami Beach. They think that they're always on the beach, even though they're at work. But they think they're on the beach. In New York, it's no different. Even in the cold weather, there's people walking around half naked. So it's not the weather. Everywhere around the world. It's not just in America. It's in Israel. It's everywhere. People today feel like the more skin they show, the more beautiful they are. The reality of it is that if you look at history, if you look at the women that are highly regarded, even if they're movie stars, even if they're celebrities, even if they're the president's wife, usually it's the most modest women. It's not the ones that showed their body. The ones that showed their body, they're remembered for a week, a month, a year, 2 years, that's it, they're forgotten. Okay, we got bored of her already. But the one that's modest, everyone remembers. Oh, you remember so-and-so, wow, she was so modest. Everybody talks about that. And that's the beauty, because women today don't understand that. And men are far, even further than men. Men are asking their wives to be this way. Men are asking their wives to be immodest. You have husbands asking their wife, listen, why are you wearing so much clothes? Take off. Wear a tank top. The key here is that Hashem, if you think about the beginning of this book, you think about Noach. Everybody thinks about Noach. Hashem destroyed the world. Start all over. With Noach and his 3 sons and their wives and his wife. That's it. Everyone else was destroyed. But before Hashem destroyed the world, He gave them a warning. He told Noach, listen, build the teva, build the ark. It's going to take you 120 years. So for 120 years, people are going to see you working in the middle of town. They're going to ask questions. If they ask questions, tell them, listen, God's going to destroy the world. So in essence, they're getting warnings for 120 years. For 120 years, every day they're getting a reminder, Hashem is going to destroy the world. Why? Because you're sinning, you're stealing, you're doing this, you're doing that. They didn't listen, Hashem destroyed the world. Tower of Babel, they wanted to go against God, they wanted to build fight God, they wanted to build a tower. Hashem, obviously, instead of destroying them, He just changed their language and it ended up being destroyed itself. You look at Sodom and Gomorrah, everyone knows what Sodom and Gomorrah is, right? Mm-hmm. Sodom and Gomorrah, when Hashem told Avraham, I'm going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, He didn't tell him because, listen, I'm going to destroy it and that's it. He told him because He wanted Avraham to pray for them, to maybe they could do tshuva. Avraham said, maybe if there's 50 righteous people there, maybe if there's 45, maybe if there's 40, maybe if there's 10. Hashem said, even if there's 10, I wouldn't destroy it. But in essence, He's giving him more time. He's giving him more time. Because, Avraham is praying for them. He's trying to help them do tshuva. The only time in all of the destructions we've had, even in the Bet HaMikdash, the first Bet HaMikdash, we made a lot of really big sins, including Avodah Zarah. Avodah Zarah is one of the worst things you can do. Which, by the way, just anybody who doesn't know, Avodah Zarah, every time idol worship is mentioned in the Torah, and the punishment for it, it's mentioned right next to Shabbat. Right next to the violation of Shabbat is idol worship. Why? Because Hashem considers it the same thing. Mm-hmm. Someone that violates a Shabbat is the same thing as someone that's worshiping an idol. Same thing. People don't know that. They think, what's the big deal of Shabbat? What's the big deal? Well, I'm just driving to shul. I'm just going to the movies. Why does Hashem care so much? It's a big deal. It's the 4th commandment. So now, Bet HaMikdash was sinning for many, many years. Hashem was sending us warnings. He was sending us the prophets. Do tshuva, do tshuva, do tshuva. No one wanted to listen. Eventually He destroyed it. 70 years later, we built another Bet Mikdash. It lasted 420 years. But out of the 420 years, we weren't righteous for most of it. If you know also, the second Bet HaMikdash, we had a Kohen every year that had to go to the Kodesh Kodashim and pray for during Yom Kippur, and during those few minutes, pray for tshuva for all of Am Yisrael. But if the Kohen was not righteous himself, even if he thought about something bad, or something not 100% holy, he would die on the spot. So the Kohen had to be really, really righteous, something out of this world. During the first Bet HaMikdash, there wasn't many Kohanim. Why? Because they lasted a very long time. During the second Bet HaMikdash, we had over 300 of them, which means that every year the Kohen would die almost. The second Bet HaMikdash was around for 420 years. We had over 300 Kohanim. Why? Because every year the guy would die. Sometimes more than one would die in the same year. Why would they die? Because realistically, they weren't really righteous people. They were buying the priesthood. It was rich people. So they figure, listen, if I'm rich, I'm righteous. Everyone thinks that when they're rich, they're smarter, they're better looking. If they're rich, they think everything changes. So same thing back then. They figure, listen, I have money. I want the best position. I want to be the top. I want to be the president. I want to be the Kohen Gadol. So I'm going to buy the position. They didn't think about, listen, I'm going to have to go to this Kodesh Kodashim, and if I'm thinking about something bad, I'm going to die. They didn't think about that. They were just thinking about kavod. They were thinking about pride. They wanted to get everyone to respect them. Not realizing that most likely you're not going to survive. Now I can understand logically, I can understand the first guy, the second guy, the fifth guy. I can understand everyone thinks that they're better than everybody else. I can understand. Okay, fine. I don't understand after 5 people, after 100 people died, after 200 people died. How could you still do it? Why, you didn't notice that 200 people are dying every year? I mean, I don't understand. And that shows you that sometimes when someone has pride and they want everyone to respect them, and they have so much arrogance because they think they're special, the logic goes in the garbage. They don't think clearly. They rather be honored for 1 minute and die than not to be honored and live forever. Doesn't make any sense. One time Napoleon, somebody told Napoleon was about to go to war with the Russians. And he went to a rabbi and he asked the rabbi, he respected the rabbis, and he asked the rabbi, listen, what do you think about this war with the Russians? The rabbi told him the truth. He says, listen, you're going to lose. I think it was the Baal Shem Tov. He came to the Baal Shem Tov and he told him, what do you think? And he said, you're going to lose. The Russians are going to kill you. You shouldn't go to this war. Shouldn't go to this war. No, is there any other way? No, you're 100% going to lose. You're going to go to the war? He goes, yeah, I'm still going to go to the war. How does that mean? I'm telling you, you're going to lose 100%. Why would you go to the war? He goes, because when I'm not fighting a war, I'm not Napoleon. So he'd rather go fight another war, knowing that he's going to die, just so he can get the kavod, he can get the pride that he went to another war. That's the thing. When someone has pride, all logic goes in the garbage. And this is something that we all have to check ourselves. Every day we look in the mirror. Right? Every day we look in the mirror, we have to ask ourselves, am I righteous with God? Am I really doing what He asked me to do? Am I really deserving of all the things I ask for Him every day? Every day we pray. Either we pray during the Knesset or we pray personally. Sometimes somebody's just praying personally at home. They're talking to God, which is very good to do, by the way. It's very, very important to talk to God every day. Talk to Him like you talk to anything. Just talk to Hashem. It's one of the best things you can do for yourself. So sometimes you have people that are talking to God and they ask Him for stuff. Hashem, give me health. Hashem, give me this, give me this, give me this, give me all these things. You want all these things. Okay, listen. Bezat Hashem, Hashem gives you everything your heart desires. But once in a while, at least once in a while, you should ask yourself, if I was God, would I give it to me? You ask yourself, because I'm asking, this person is asking for all this stuff. Now Hashem said, listen, I also asked for a bunch of stuff. I told you to do all of these commandments, everything that you can do, you have to do it. Even if you don't like it, even if you don't understand it, whatever is relevant to our generation, because there's some things that are not relevant to our generation because we don't have a Bet Mikdash. So some of the mitzvot out of the 613 that Hashem gave us, some of them we can't do because we don't have a Bet Mikdash. But there are many that we can. About a third of the 613 we're obligated to do. So many of them we can't do, even if we wanted to. Some of them only apply to Kohanim. Some of them only apply to women. Some of them only apply to men. So you can't do everything. No one can do everything. But the ones that you have to do, you have to do. So Hashem is, okay, so now you ask yourself, if I was God, and I told this person, listen, you have 50 mitzvot. You have 50 mitzvot that you have to do. You have to do this, A, B, C, D, you have to do all these mitzvot. And this person is doing 10 of them. And those 10 happen to be the easy ones. You know, he washes his hands in the morning. He does Kriyat Shema in the morning. He eats kosher. He happens to live next to a kosher deli, but that's a different story. Okay. Okay, he's doing the easy ones. But the big ones he's not doing. He's only doing 10. I gave him 50, he's doing 10. But he's asking me to be rich. He's asking me for Gan Eden. He's asking me for his kids to be successful. He's asking me for his kids to have zivugim and have family and have kids. And he's asking me from here, he's asking for Gan Eden in this world and the next world. If you were God, would you give it to you? You give it to this person? Doesn't make sense, right? But a God still gives it to us. That's the amazing thing about God. He still gives it to us. Now, if we're asking for something and God is not giving it to us, there's only one of two reasons. If you're praying every day for somebody has a problem or whatever, there's a lot of problems in the world, whether it's the disasters that are happening to the Jews all over the world, or it's health problems, or financial problems, or kids problems, all the things that are happening. Well, there's no shortness of problems in the world. So we're all praying every day. And sometimes we pray, but nothing happens. We don't get the results. We ask for this, it didn't happen. We ask for a job, we can't get a job. We ask for to find a zivu, we can't find a zivu. We ask for different things, and it didn't happen. It's only one of two reasons. Reason number one, you didn't pray long enough. Meaning, you didn't get there yet. You have to pray more. Hashem wants more prayers. This is one of the main reasons why Hashem gave the sages and the matriarchs and patriarchs so many problems. He wanted to hear their prayers. Everyone knows that Yaakov was a tzaddik. Everyone knows that Yaakov was as good as it can be. So why is Hashem constantly giving him these tests? He knows he's going to pass them. Hashem knows the future. He knows he's going to pass this test. So what's the point of giving him a test he knows he's going to pass? He wants to hear his prayers. When Yaakov is now about to meet Esav, Yaakov gets very scared because he hears that Esav is taking 400 leaders, and each one of these 400 leaders has 400 soldiers, which means Esav is coming with 160,000 soldiers against Yaakov and his little family. Yaakov is scared. He starts praying to Hashem. He says, Hashem, you already gave me so much. I came to Lavan with just a stick. I had nothing. No money, no nothing. Now I have two camps. I have money. I have my wives. I have 11 kids. One of them is on the way now. Number 12 is on the way. Benjamin is on the way because Rachel was pregnant. Oh Hashem, I have your Torah. I'm healthy. Everything is good. You already gave me too much, but now I'm hearing that Esav is coming to kill me. But you promised me that the nation of Israel is going to come for me. So I don't know. I don't know if I don't deserve all this already that you gave me. So to ask you to save me is already too much. But please save me anyway. Now Hashem knew, and he already told Yaakov, and he already told his father Yitzchak, and he already told his grandfather Abraham that everyone, all of Am Yisrael is going to come from Yaakov. So why is Yaakov so worried? He knows everyone's going to come. He can't die. He's not allowed to die. Everything depends on him. So why is he so worried? This teaches us something about the sages. This teaches us something about the patriarchs, the matriarchs, all of the most important people in history. The ones that were closest to Hashem were never ever confident about their own actions. Even though they were righteous, even though they did all the mitzvot and they kept the Torah even before they got the Torah. Even before Mount Sinai, Yaakov, Abraham, and Yitzchak all kept the Torah. They already kept the Torah. They weren't obligated, but they already did it. Even then, they weren't sure. They said, maybe, you know what? Esav has been doing a mitzvah that I couldn't do. He was respecting my mom and my dad. He's respecting Abba and Ima for the last 34 years. That's the 5th commandment. I couldn't respect my mom and dad because I wasn't there for 34 years. 14 years that Yaakov was at a yeshiva, that he went before Lavan. He went to the yeshiva of Shem and Evel. And then he went to Lavan. He worked there for 20 years. So 34 years he hasn't been at home. So for 34 years, my parents, there's no Facebook, there's no telephone, there's no email, there's nothing. Can't call, can't send a letter. So 34 years, I can't talk to my parents. If I can't talk to my parents, how can I show them respect? Maybe they died, maybe not. I don't know. They don't know what happened to me even. So I can't honor my parents. He's been honoring my parents. So he has one mitzvah that I don't have. Plus, he lives in Canaan, which is later called Israel. Hashem said that he's going to bless this land. That's the chosen land. So Esav has been living in this land. I haven't been living in this land. So he has 2 mitzvot now that I couldn't do. He's not thinking like us. Oh, I do this, and I do this, and I do this, and I do this. He's thinking, I'm missing 2 mitzvot. He has 2 mitzvot. He's not thinking Esav is a rasha and he's murdering people. No. He's not judging him. He doesn't know. He's like, listen, his business is business. All I know, he has 2 mitzvot. I don't know about his crimes. I don't care about his crimes. That's not my business. I don't know about my own mitzvot because I'm supposed to do it anyway. What, am I supposed to get a bonus for doing the mitzvot? Hashem said to do it, I have to do it. So he's not thinking about everything I did, and he's not thinking about everything the other guy is doing wrong, which is exactly what we do. We see somebody else is rich, we think, why is Hashem giving him all this money? He steals, he's this. You're thinking about everything wrong that he's doing. Everyone else is a sinner except us, we think. All the time. You think about it all the time. Everyone else is sinning, but our sins are not sins. It's accidental. I did it by accident. He sinned on purpose. That's what we think. Human beings, that's the way we think. Everyone else is a sinner. So Yaakov is different. Yaakov is saying, no. Esav, he has 2 mitzvot that I couldn't do. So with those 2 mitzvot, maybe he beats everything that I did. So he's really, really worried. And he prays to Hashem. When it comes back to all of the sages, each time we spoke to God, each time we got news from God, anytime there was a decree from Shemaim, God would give us a warning shot. He would tell us, repent, do tshuva, whether it was the flood, or it was Sodom and Gomorrah, or it was the first Bet Mikdash, the second Bet Mikdash, all throughout history. We've constantly gotten warning shots. The only thing that changed between today and a couple thousand years ago is that today we don't have prophets, so Hashem gives us warning shots that are obvious if you're paying attention. But he's not talking to us in public like he did back then. Today he's telling you, listen, the Arabs have already had 2 billion people almost in the world for a long time. It's not like they just were born 2 billion today. They've already had 2 billion for a long time. Which really means that if they really wanted to destroy the nation of Israel, they didn't need weapons. They didn't need machine guns. They don't need tanks. They don't need anything. They don't need planes. They can just all walk to Israel. That's it. All of them come together. They all get on a little boat, a car or something, or they walk on their, or on their camels. They come to Israel. That's it. Israel's gone. With no weapons. Not even one shot fired. Where's the little 10 million people, 12 million people that we have in Israel going to do against 2 billion people? Now, Hashem has obviously been giving us a lot of mercy for a long time. They didn't do it. But now all of a sudden, they have this new policy. Anyone that could take a knife, go use it against a Jew. They could have already done this a long time ago, even without the knife. So why are they doing it now? Hashem is talking to us. If you're paying attention, Hashem is talking to us. He says, listen, you got to wake up. I didn't bring you into this world to play on your computer. I didn't bring you to this world to go focus on making money. I didn't bring you into this world to do everything that we do. I brought you to this world for Torah, to bring the Torah to life. When most of Am Yisrael is not keeping mitzvot, most of Am Yisrael is not keeping Shabbat, they don't even know what Shabbat is, most of them. They think it's just another day. It's just called Shabbat. They think they can do Kiddush and then go to the movies. Do Kiddush, then go to the pub. Do Kiddush and then go make every sin possible. So Hashem is sending us signs. The only time He did not send us signs. The only time He did not give us a warning shot. The only time He didn't say, you have to do tshuva, is with the story between Bilam, that gave the advice to Balak, and when they sent the women to make the Jews make sins. That's the only time. As soon as they started making the sins, Hashem didn't talk to Moshe. He didn't talk to anybody. As soon as they started making the sins, He started killing them. No warning shots. So when Jews today are telling you, listen, why does Hashem care if I wear a tube top or a tank top or a mini skirt or a long skirt? Why does Hashem care so much? It's my body. Mm-hmm. It's my body. What? He created me. He knows what He created. What? I have to be shy from God? He knows what I created. What's the big deal? We have to remember this story. Hashem hates zima. Zima is in essence immodesty. It's promiscuity. When women walk around without being modest, it's not just about them. It's not just about their sin that they're going against Hashem. It's about how they're making other people make sins. Because guys don't think like women. Women, in order for them to love somebody, in order for them to be intimate with somebody naturally in a normal way, they have to care about the person. They like to, they want them to be a nice person, to be funny, to be this, to be that. They want to care about the person. Guys, not so much. Guys just want life to be convenient. If she cooks, if she cleans, if she understands my lifestyle, I can deal with it. I could live this life. She could be a good wife. Guys are not they don't put as much thought into a relationship as women do. Women are much smarter than men in many things, by the way. Much smarter. So the problem is that guys are looking at, especially people in the street. We're not talking about guys in the kollel or yeshiva that are no Torah. I'm talking about people regular in the street. They see a woman that's not modest, they're already thinking about everything that they're not supposed to be thinking. They don't even know the woman. They're already thinking about this and that and the vacation we're going to take, and then she's going to be this way and then she's going to be that. They already had this whole movie in their head. Now the guy could be married with 4 kids, but he's thinking about somebody else. But it's not only his fault, it's her fault. Because she dresses in a way that's appealing to anyone. So when she grabs their attention of the guy, what ends up happening? He goes home, but he's thinking about another woman. So she makes him sin. But she's not walking in a street with one guy. It's thousands, millions. So when a woman is not modest, the problem is that it's not just the sin that she's making by not being modest. The sin is that she's making everyone else sin. She could walk on one block from 75th Street to 76th Street. 1,500 men passed by her, 1,500 men made sins. But it's not one sin they made. They're making that sin over and every time they think about her, it's another sin. There'll be millions of sins in a walk that took maybe 30 seconds. This is something we need to know because again, when Hashem gave us so many warning shots, even for Avodah Zarah, even when we worshipped idols, He gave us a warning shot. When we worshipped idols, He told us stop, do tshuva. When we did everything we did, even when we actually, in Mount Sinai, He wanted to destroy us, but He didn't destroy us. Why? He said, okay, they worshipped an idol, they did what they did. It was really, some people say it was only the Erev Rav, some people say it was everyone. Either way, the point being is that at a time that realistically we deserved as bad as it can be, we didn't get it. Why? Because Hashem loves Israel, and He gave us another shot. The only time he didn't give us another shot is just with immodesty. And this is something that we have to really, really try to teach everyone around us. Because when people say, no, I love Hashem, I understand Hashem, I love Hashem, He loves me, and you're asking for all of these things, just like Yaakov is asking for Hashem, Hashem, please save me. So we have to remind ourselves, okay, Yaakov, he made all the mitzvot. All of his wives were kosher, all of his kids were tzaddikim, he was a tzaddik, he did everything. Even after Lavan was cheating him for 20 years, we talked about in last week's parasha, 20 years, he's cheating him. One day Yaakov comes to his wives and he says, listen, we have to leave your father's house because he's been cheating me. He's telling to his daughters. What, his daughters didn't know that he's cheating him for 20 years? That's the beauty about Yaakov. 20 years he's being cheated, he didn't complain once. He didn't say Lashon Hara even one time. Which means that for 20 years, Lavan's daughters, which are Yaakov's wives, they don't know. Maybe he's cheating, maybe he's not cheating, we don't know. Yaakov never says anything. He goes to work, he does his work, he comes home. Never says Lashon Hara. 20 years doesn't say Lashon Hara. Can we last one day without Lashon Hara? We talk on the phone with somebody already who started Lashon Hara. It's already become part of us, unfortunately. 20 years didn't say Lashon Hara. About somebody that he's right about. The guy's cheating him. He should say Lashon Hara non-stop. Not saying anything. So Yaakov is doing all of these mitzvot. He's doing everything. And he's asking Hashem, please save me. Please just save me. He didn't say, Hashem, give me money. Hashem, give me more kids. Give me this. Give me nothing. Just save me. Save my life. We, not Yaakov Avinu, but we're asking for everything else. So that's the thing we have to understand. One of the most valuable lessons from all of these parashot is not to just learn the story and enjoy it. It's to learn the lessons from the story. Because Hashem wrote this Torah in order for us to learn how to behave. In order for us to learn how to connect to Him. He's saying, look, Yaakov, I loved Avraham, I loved all of them. But look what they did for me. They showed me love also. They didn't say every day, they kissed the mezuzah, I say I love you. They did more by their actions. If our actions show Hashem love, our words don't need to say anything, we're already doing it. But if our words are just saying it, but our actions are the opposite, it's worthless. If anything, it makes Hashem upset. So when we're asking Hashem for things every day, we have to ask ourselves, am I really doing as much as I can to deserve everything that I'm asking for? Now after Yaakov gets through this test and he meets Esav, there's a halacha, just like there's an halacha for tefillin, and there's an halacha for Shabbat, there's a halachot for prayers and everything else. There's an halacha that Esav hates Yaakov. No matter what, there's an inner hate in Esav for Yaakov. But they're not just talking about Esav, they're talking about Edom. They're talking about all of his descendants hate Yaakov, hate Israel. So even if someone has a relationship with a non-Jew, they always have to take that into mind. That doesn't necessarily mean that all non-Jews are wicked. It doesn't necessarily mean that all non-Jews are not good. It just means that we always have to think for ourselves that when push comes to shove, we have to try to stay as close to our own people as we can. Because during the times of World War II, the Jews were very popular in Germany. Before World War II, they were very popular, they were very rich. The Jews were just like in America today. There's a lot of Jews that are very rich in America. They live comfortable lives, they have big houses, big this, big that, and they're all over the media and everything is great. And the Goyim, for the most part, even though there's 40% anti-Semitism in America, for the most part, people don't feel it. People don't feel anti-Semitism in America as much. Unless you watch the news. And you see that every time the Palestinian kills 15 people, the news only says, Palestinian died. Okay, what are the 15 people he killed? But for the most part, Jews don't feel anti-Semitism, Baruch Hashem, in America. They feel anti-Semitism in Europe and the rest of the world, but in America, for the most part, Baruch Hashem, no. At the same time, a Jew has to understand. During World War II, we were in the same exact position, if not even better than America. If not even better than America. But then one day, it all changed. And all of those next door neighbors that brought us cookies for the holidays and said shalom, all of a sudden they were the same people that were pushing us into the trains to go into the concentration camps. So again, Esav hates Yaakov. Like I said, doesn't mean that all goyim are not good. It just means that a Jew needs to live next to Jews. Needs to be next to Jews. We are stronger together. By ourselves, we can't survive. So now when Esav sees Yaakov, he runs towards them and Yaakov runs towards Esav. And they hug. And it says they kiss. Give a big kiss. Like they haven't seen each other for a long time. And then they start crying. But the Midrash says that it really wasn't a kiss. The word vayeshikehu, which means kiss, has on the Torah scroll, you'll see it on Shabbat Be'ezrat Hashem, you'll see on the Torah scroll, it has, vayeshikehu, it has stars around it, it has different dots, which is unusual. So the Midrash, the sages explained that he didn't really kiss him, he actually tried to bite him on his neck and kill him. Esav was really trying to say, listen, I've been waiting for this moment to kill my brother for so many years. I'm going to not only murder him, I'm going to murder him in the worst possible way, most violent way. But Hashem made a miracle and he turned Yaakov's neck into marble, as strong as marble. So after he bit him, he broke his teeth and both of them were crying. Esav was crying because he broke his teeth and Yaakov was crying that there's still hatred here also. But at that moment, Esav realized that he's not dealing with the same Yaakov that was there 34 years ago. He's not dealing with this little Talmid, goes to yeshiva with the little hat, just trying to make it through the day. He's dealing with something kadosh. He's dealing with something holy. He can't just push him around like he did. And the 160,000 people that he brought with him also realized that. They saw that this Yaakov is not this person that Esav was really making to be. They all left. Hashem made a miracle, they all left. And that's why after Esav says, listen, why don't you come with me and with my people? And Yaakov says, no, I'm going to go my own way, my own pace. I don't want to go too fast. Maybe my sheep and my cattle will die if I go too fast. And also my kids are young. They're fragile. Let us go our own pace and I'll meet up with you. And then when it says that Esav accepted this answer and he left, it didn't say that he left with the 400 men. Initially it mentioned the 400 men, the 400 leaders that had 400 people each. But when he left, it didn't mention the 400. And the Midrash says that the 400 already left before this. They saw how holy Yaakov was. They said, we don't want to mess with this guy. This is not a regular person. Guy has fire around him. He's walking around with a holy fire around him. That's not you and me. But one thing also that we learned, we went over it a little bit yesterday. If anybody wants to watch the shiur, it's online now. It's something that happens a lot today that we can learn from Yaakov, that there's a time and a place for everything. The first thing that Yaakov does when before he sees his brother is he sends angels with gifts for Esav, and he says, tell Esav exactly these words. Tell Esav, your brother, your servant, Yaakov, your servant. He calls himself Esav's servant. I'm here, and I have all these presents for you. And then when he sees Esav, he begs Esav to please take these presents. And he acts really, really nice to him. And he's constantly giving him compliments. He says, seeing your face is like seeing a divine face, like seeing an angel. It's like seeing an angel. Esav wasn't exactly the best looking guy in the world. He's not, he's not portrayed in the Torah as a good looking person. So why is Yaakov saying, seeing your face is like seeing an angel? What is this flattery? Masechet Sotah in the Gemara, this is part of the old Torah, says some really bad things about anyone that gives compliments to someone that's not worth it. Meaning, if someone is an enemy of Hashem, where he's not enemy in a sense that he has to be a murderer all the time, sometimes somebody's an enemy of Hashem by just going against the Torah and not putting the time that he needs to learn Torah, and not putting the time that he needs to keep the mitzvot. But he happens to be rich, so he doesn't keep Shabbat, he doesn't keep kosher, he's married to a non-Jew, he's doing everything wrong according to the Torah. But when he arrives to the Beit Knesset, because he has a few $1 million in the bank, they give him aliyah, they give him kavod, everybody's excited when he's there. All of a sudden it's like the president came. The Gemara says some really bad things about that. To give a kavod to someone that's considered wicked, according to the Torah, has some very dear punishments. It says there are 4 classes of people, of sinners, that do not receive the divine presence. Meaning, people that even if they pray, Hashem doesn't listen to their prayer. People that Hashem doesn't want any part of their life. 4 types of sinners. Katletzim, people that make fun of everything. People want to be, want to joke. Sometimes you go to a Shiur Torah, and the rabbi is serious, he's trying to give a Shiur Torah, he's trying to show you what Hashem said. And everybody's serious, everybody's learning, and all of a sudden this one guy wants attention, and he makes a joke about nothing, and he gets everybody off the topic, and no one wants to learn anymore. Everyone wants to joke now. That person's in a lot of trouble. It's very, there's a time and a place for everything. You're allowed to be a funny person, you're allowed to say jokes, but there's a time and a place for everything. Second one, the Kat Chanefim. A class of flatterers. What's flatterers? People that give compliments to the wicked. Just like we were talking about, a guy that's a wicked person comes to the Beit Knesset, because he has some money, maybe he could donate $1 million to the shul, or 100,000 or 1,000, whatever he could donate. All of a sudden they give him all the kavod in the world. He says that person, those people around him, Hashem wants nothing to do with them. So they're thinking that this guy is coming to help them. They're thinking this guy is coming, he's going to donate all of his money to us, to this Beit Knesset, to build a yeshiva. Wow, it's so great, it's so amazing. They don't realize that him coming here and them giving him kavod, he's hurting them more than they can even imagine. But this is normal in our world. People that have money in our world, they get so much kavod. It's always been this way, it's not just today. The other 2 is the Kat Shakarim, a class of liars, people that are naturally liars. Like to lie, they lie, their whole life is a lie, they say they're this, but they're really not. Some people pretend like they know the whole Torah, but they really barely even know how to say a bracha. They call them babot. Sometimes you see these advertisements in Jewish communities where they say a tzaddik bala'il, a tzaddik is coming to the city, and it's someone you've never heard of, and he dresses differently, he has a hood sometimes, or they're usually older. And people are saying, oh, this person is holy and he can give you these special things. He can heal you and he can do this and he can do that. But if you want to be healed, or if you want help with ABC, you have to give him 10,000, 5,000. He has to charge money for it. Anyone that charges you money to do something for you is fake. There's no such thing. No such thing as help cost money. In the business world, yes, you have to obviously cost money. In the Jewish world, help does not cost money. Anyone that comes to a city says, listen, if in order for me to help you be healthy, in order for me to help you, to pray for you, to do whatever it is that you need help with, you have to pay me a certain amount of money, that person is as wicked as can be. The last thing is bekat mesapre lashon hara. People that say lashon hara a lot, like it's part of their day. Sometimes there's people that like to talk on the phone to their friends a lot, Not because they need anything, just because they want to tell everybody else what everybody else is doing, how everybody else is not good. So now, you have a situation here where Hashem is in multiple places. We mentioned a lot more in yesterday's shiur, but this just gives you an idea where Hashem doesn't like it. He doesn't like when you give compliments to people that don't deserve it. That's to say it nicely. And now you have Yaakov. He's saying a lot of nice things. He's saying a lot of nice things about Esav. But Yaakov was a tzaddik. So this is where you have to pay attention to the words. Yaakov is saying to Esav, listen, seeing your face is like seeing the face of an angel. So what does that mean? That means that Yaakov has seen angels. So the Gemara explains it, same Masechet. He says, listen, Yaakov is telling him his face looks like an angel, not because he really likes him. He's telling him, listen, don't mess with me. I deal with angels all the time. It's just like somebody, they give a story, they say, let's say somebody is invited to go to a person's house, but he finds out that his host is planning to kill him. So what is he going to do? So he says to the host, he goes, oh, you know, the food is so good here, it's just like the food I had at the king's house. So automatically the guy that's thinking about killing him goes, wait a minute, I'm going to kill this guy, the king's going to go after me. He knows the king. He's friends with the king. He eats with the king. He's friends with the king. That's exactly what Yaakov is doing over here. He's saying, listen, you look, your face looks like an angel. Not because he looks like an angel. Just listen to me. I deal with angels all the time. I'm not a regular guy like you. So he's giving him a little bit of a warning. At the same time, he's giving him a compliment. Another reason that Chazal says that he's giving him a compliment is that to make shalom, to make peace and avoid war is the way of Israel. It's the way of Am Yisrael, and sometimes it's necessary. So you're allowed to say something nice if it's for the sake of peace. But again, peace, not money. Not because you want a donation. So there's a very big difference, and there's a thin line between them. So far, anybody have any questions? Okay. So now the next thing that we hear about is the abduction of Dinah. Dinah was one of the daughters of Yaakov through his wife Leah. And Dinah was a tzadikah. Dinah was a very, very righteous girl. But she made a mistake. One day she walked around and she did something that was not a Jewish-like, a righteous person's-like behavior. She walked around town just to see other girls and hang out with the girls and see what was going on. And Hashem says that's not what a righteous girl does. A righteous girl is at home taking care of the family, learning Torah. We don't go around the Manhattan, looking for skirts and bikinis. A righteous girl has times and a place to do something, but not by herself. You want to go shopping? Okay, you bring your husband with you. Or if you don't have a husband, you bring your brother. You don't walk, a nice Jewish girl doesn't walk around by herself. It's not a modest thing to do. Because if you walk around by yourself, it looks like, maybe you're, maybe you're not married. Now, the beauty about Judaism is that in order for us to know if a Jewish woman is married or not, there's a basic sign. Because everyone's required to be modest. But there's one obvious sign of a married Jewish woman. What is it? She covers her hair. She covers her hair. If she's married, she covers her hair. That way, we know, okay, even if she walks around by herself, we know, okay, she's married, okay, that's not a girl that I'm going to mess with. She's married, somebody else. Even the Goyim respect married women, even in this day. Very, very important for a woman to cover her hair. Now, this is actually one of the controversies in Judaism for the last generation, for the last probably 100 or so years, especially this generation, with the issue of wigs. A lot of righteous people that listen to Torah, follow the mitzvot, are making a decision to wear a wig instead of covering their hair with either a hat or a scarf of some kind, like everyone has done for nearly 5,000 years, or 3,300 years. The problem with today's wigs is that even though there is a source in the Torah that talks about that there is a wig, the wig that they were talking about in those days is a wig that you knew it was a wig. It looked like straw. Like even someone that was blind would tell that it's a wig. It looked like a the broom you sweep the floor with. It looked like that on somebody's head. So you knew it was a wig. Just that the woman chose to cover it either because she didn't have money to cover her hair with a scarf or a hat, or that's what was available. Unfortunately, another way that we changed and made Judaism into something what we call more modern is that we put these wigs, but the wigs today are nicer than hair. So you have a woman that's supposed to make herself more modest, but instead of putting something that makes herself show the world that she's married, she walks around with a wig and has all these curls. It always looks perfect. Always looks perfect. And the best part about it, guys can't tell the difference. I see it, I can't tell the difference. Maybe another woman can tell. My wife tells me all the time, oh no, she's wearing a wig. How do I know? What do you mean? She's wearing, it's her hair. I don't know. How she goes to the salon every day maybe, but it's her hair. No, my wife's like, no, it's a wig. Like, how could it be a wig? It looks real. And this is some of the things that creates a lot of problems. There's actually a story with Rabbi Mizrahi told me that somebody came up to him one time in a wedding, and a young guy, and he says, Rabbi, I'm looking for a shidduch, and there's this nice woman over there. If you could introduce, maybe talk to her parents. I can't walk up to her myself. You know, it's Talmid Chacham. It's not a regular. He's not in a club. Rabbi happened to know this woman. He goes, no, she's married. The guy's like, oh, she's married because of a religious wedding. It wasn't a secular wedding. He's like, oh, I couldn't tell. The wig is it's a wig. I thought it was her hair. So that's the thing. It's a problem. It creates a lot of problems. Because when the guy is asking, listen, the rabbi, please set me up with her, he's already thinking in his mind how the wedding's going to look like. He's thinking about the wedding, what the kids are going to look like. He's already thinking about her waking up in the morning and making him breakfast. He already has the whole movie in his head. It's not like he's innocent, nice little guy. He's thinking he has a whole movie. So this poor woman that's trying to do a mitzvah, she's trying to cover her hair, she's causing this other guy to make sins, but not intentionally. There's a story about, in the Gemara, Masechet Avodah Zarah, it talks about Rabbi Chanina ben Tardion. Rabbi Chanina ben Tardion had two daughters. One of them was Bulia, which is the wife of Rabbi Meir. And the other daughter, I don't recall the name, but one of them got a dear punishment. Even Rabbi Chanina ben Tardion and his wife also got a punishment, but it's a long story, but we'll just focus on the three women. The three women got a big punishment. Each at their own, had their three different stories, each at their own, for their own actions. The wife of Rabbi Chanina was one of Kodesh Kodashim. Rabbi Chanina was one of the greatest sages of all time. He was able to bring back the dead. I could barely even notice if I'm alive. This guy's bringing back the dead. Somebody, it's holy. But he made a mistake. At his level, he made a mistake. He said the name of Hashem inappropriately. Where, you see sometimes not sometimes, all over the Torah, you see the Yud, Hey, Vav, and Hey. But we don't pronounce that name the way it really reads. We pronounce it Amonai, with the D. You're not supposed to say it for no reason. He pronounced it. The way it really reads. And you're not allowed to do that. Even though he was a completely righteous person. So Hashem punished him at his level, and he had a very difficult death. The Romans tied him up and burned him with a Sefer Torah. His wife saw him when he was giving Shiur Torah. Back in those days, you didn't need to make phone calls and Facebook meetings and all of these things. Back then, someone knows Torah, goes in the middle of the street, starts talking Torah. All of a sudden, 500 people show up and listen to his Torah. People love Torah in those days. You don't have to organize anything. You go, you know Torah, So, you go into the middle of the neighborhood, you start learning Torah, start saying Divrei Torah, everybody comes. His wife would see that he's doing Torah, he's teaching Torah, he's making this mistake. She knew it was a mistake, but she didn't say anything. So Hashem punished her also. This teaches us from her, from Rabbi Chanina ben Talbion's wife, you're not allowed to watch somebody else sin and not say something. If you're connected to them, if you don't know them, if it's just a stranger, it's different. But if it's somebody you know, if it's your father, it's your mother, it's your, you have to be careful because it's your parents, you have to respect them, so you have to do it in a certain respectful way. If it's your children, if it's your husband, it's a different way. If it's your friend, also a different way, but you have to do something. You can't just watch your brothers and sisters that are Jewish go against Hashem and say nothing. No, he'll figure it out on his own. That's what a lot of people say. Yeah, but the guy is a nice guy. He's a wonderful guy. He comes to B'Knesset once a year on Yom Kippur. He donates some money. He thinks that he's okay. He doesn't realize that it's worthless. If he doesn't keep Shabbat, if he doesn't keep the basic foundation of Judaism, he's cut off from the nation. He has a very, very bad place prepared for him. Why? Tell him to keep Shabbat. Maybe he doesn't know. No, he knows. He doesn't know. There's only two types of people that don't keep Shabbat. One is because they don't know. Two is because they don't believe. Either they don't believe that Torah is real. There's questions. They haven't investigated it long enough to really know that Torah is real. Or two, they don't really know how significant it really is. They believe that Torah is real. We got it on Mount Sinai from the limited knowledge they have. But they don't know how really, how critical Hashem is of someone that violates His laws. Because if someone really knew, there's no way that they would go against Hashem. If you know and believe, there's no way you would go against Hashem. Which means that everything that we do that's a sin, we don't do it intentionally against Hashem. Do it because we don't know the difference. So that's why Hashem says you have to learn Torah every day. Something. Every day you have to learn Torah, especially men. Mainly men. Women are supposed to know the basics. But today it's easy to learn Torah. You put a YouTube video, you have a tape, CDs. I brought you guys some CDs for Rabbi Mizrahi's lectures and also this amazing book by Rabbi Zamir Cohen. It's in English. A lot of the shiurim that I do when I talk about science, a lot of the stuff comes from this book. It's so each one of you has a free copy and also some CDs. That will be your homework for today. So now Rabbi Chanina, okay. At his level, he was a complete tzaddik, made the sin saying Hashem's name inappropriately, Hashem punished him. Fine. This is to show us that even the righteous, Hashem is critical with them. So no one should think that we have a free lunch here, that it's okay for us to sin just because we're not Rabbi Chanina. His wife watched him sin, she didn't say anything, not allowed, she got punished. The daughter, the one that I don't remember her name, very modest, very righteous person. One day she's walking around, the Romans see her walking and they like the way she walks. So they compliment the way she walks. She hears them complimenting the way she walks. She gets excited. She walks even nicer. That's it. She's still modest. She's still covering herself. That's it. She didn't take off her clothes. She didn't walk around with a bikini. Nothing. She heard somebody complimenting her. So she got excited about it. So she walked a little nicer. Hashem says, you get excited about these men, these goyim actually are complimenting how you are. This is how a righteous woman behaves. He makes a decree, Hashem makes the goyim make a decree to send her to the prostitution house. Become a prostitute. That was her punishment. This is for walking, not for the naked people we see today. Imagine what this is. This is for walking. Hashem is very critical. He's not our friend. He's not our friend from college. It's for walking. But the good news is she knew she made a mistake. Unlike us, where we say, "Why is Hashem doing this to me? Why? We're so good." She knew she made a mistake. She said, "Hashem, you're right. I deserve this punishment." Because of that, her other sister, the third woman in the story, Uriah, her husband was Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes. A lot of people know Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes. We always pray for his schuyot to help us, but people need to understand you have to pray to God, not to Rabbi Meir. So from this story, Rabbi Meir became Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes. Uriah, goes to Rabbi Meir, we're almost done. Bruya goes to Rabbi Meir and she says, how could you be studying Torah while my sister is in a prostitution house right now? Go get her. So Rabbi Meir says, okay. He takes a bag of money, of dinars, and he goes to the place. And he prays to Hashem. He says, Eloah de Rabbi Meir, the God of Rabbi Meir, make me a miracle only if somebody didn't touch her. If she was already with a man, don't make a miracle for me. It's already too late. If she's already defiled, it's already too late. But if she's still pure, then make a miracle for me. So he goes to the place, he sees this big guard. Now Rabbi Meir is not dressed like a rabbi now, he's dressed up like a customer. You can't tell him, listen, I'm here for this woman. So you tell him, listen, I'm interested in your women, what do you have? And he shows him the women, he's okay, I want that one, and he picks the sister. So he pretends, she doesn't know it's him, she doesn't know it's Rabbi Meir, she can't recognize him. She says, okay, listen, I'm ready. And she says, no, I'm sorry, it's my time of the month, I can't be with you, I can't take customers. Rabbi Meir says, smart woman my wife has, smart sister my wife has. This is probably what she tells all the customers. This means that she wasn't touched. Okay, I'm going to save her. So he goes back to the guard and he says, listen, I like that woman, I want to take her, I'll buy with her. He gives him a bag of money. And the guard says, listen, great for the money, but what am I going to do with this money once my boss finds out that I sold one of his girls? He's going to kill me. He goes, no, I have a way for you to get out of it. If when your boss comes or anything happens, you say, pray, Eloah de Rabbi Meir, aneni. The God of Rabbi Meir, answer me. The guy's like, come on, what is this, a magic show? Leave me alone with your nonsense. I understand what your story is. Okay, fine, but... He goes, no, try it. He goes, leave me alone. Listen, you have a big dog over there, vicious dog. Release that dog. Release that dog on me. He goes, listen, if I release that dog even tries to bite us. If I release that dog, he's going to kill you in 2 seconds. Fine, release the dog. Okay. He releases the dog. Rabbi Meir says, Eloah de Rabbi Meir, aneni. And the dog becomes a little puppy and stops and starts becoming Rabbi Meir's friend. The guards couldn't believe it. This dog is like a lion. He wants to eat everything in sight. All of a sudden he's a friend of this Rabbi Meir just because he said a few words. He believes him. He says, okay, fine. Take the girl, give me the money, goodbye. So Rabbi Meir saves the sister, and Bruya obviously benefits from it by having her sister saved. Aside from learning more about modesty, how is this connected to the parasha? After Dinah was raped by this Rasha Shechem, Shechem wanted to, after he already did what he did with her, he wanted to marry her all of a sudden. So he comes to Yaakov with his father. He says, listen, we have your daughter. We've been keeping her for the last few days. But now I want to marry her. So give me your daughter. Now it says that Yaakov didn't answer him until the brothers came back. Didn't answer him until the brothers came back. One of the reasons is that once the brothers came back, Yaakov was figuring out if it was too late to save Dinah or not. If she's already been defiled, is it too late to save her? Is it worth it to save her or not? If she wasn't, if this guy would have come to me before he touched her, I wouldn't even talk to him. I would kill him on the spot and I would go myself. Yaakov would go by himself, kill everybody by himself, just to save her. Just to save her. But since now the brothers came and they verified that he really did touch her, he says, okay, so now too late to kill everybody. It's too late to fight for it. It already happened. Let's try to negotiate. Let's try to make peace. This shows you the significance of how a woman is appreciated in Judaism. Many people don't understand. They think that Judaism, women are less than men. It's the exact opposite. Women are higher than men in Judaism. We were saved from Egypt because of the women, not because of the men. The Mashiach is going to come because of the women, not because of the men.
Oh my God.
Mashiach is going to come because of the women. When a mother cries for her children, the door is always open. Father, sometimes yes, sometimes no. When Am Yisrael was beat up by Nebuchadnezzar, destroyed the Bet HaMikdash, connects to the parasha because right here is when Rachel dies. And Yaakov decides to bury Rachel in the road. Not to bring it to the Ma'ala Machpelah, not to bring it to the cave of Machpelah. Because Yaakov already saw in prophecy that the day will come and Nebuchadnezzar is going to kill the Jews, but he's going to bring a bunch of them to become slaves. And the Jews are going to lose all hope. They need a mother to cry for them. Father's not enough. Father's already over there, he's one of the slaves. We need a mother to cry for us. So when they pass the grave of Rachel, she's going to cry for them. And that's when they're going to have hope. That's when they're going to have the salvation. Because a woman is something special in Judaism. If the woman starts realizing it herself, she's going to want to be modest. She's going to want to be connected to Hashem because she knows she's significant. If the man knows it, he's going to have a good marriage. He's going to have a good relationship. He's going to have a good life. You know, in America they say, happy wife, happy life. There's something to it though. But if neither one of them knows it, what hope do we have? If neither one of them knows it, if the man doesn't know that the wife is special, that women are special in general, how's he going to treat them? Even if they're his employees, even if it's the waitress at the restaurant, even if it's his daughter, just another, it's another body. And the woman, she's not going to think she's anything special, so she thinks that she needs to show herself. She needs to get attention. Because I'm not special. All we need to do in order to find out how special we are is learn from the Torah. The Torah, make sure that you know that you're special. Make sure that you know that you're something significant. This is why they say the full truth in the Torah. The story about rape is not exactly a complimentary story. It's not exactly a story you publicize to the world. Someone, Hashem and Hashem, had a rape in their family, they wouldn't tell him, hey buddy, how are you? Oh, by the way, this thing happened. You don't tell it to people. You keep it in the family. It's a disaster. Here, Hashem is writing it in the Torah. Number one, because it's real. Number two, because there's a lot to learn from it. And Yaakov was looking for peace. But his son said, it's too late for peace. They violated our sister. And we cannot accept them violating our sister and violating our nation. So we're going to pretend we want peace. Tell them, listen, our sister can't marry you because you're not circumcised. Our daughters can't marry your people because you're not circumcised. Hashem said we have to be circumcised. If Hashem said we have to be circumcised, we have to do it. So it will be despicable for us to be with somebody that's not circumcised because you're not following what Hashem said. Someone not following what Hashem said is crazy because they knew. So Shem says, when his father Chamor, Chamor by the way means donkey. It's an interesting name for somebody. He said, okay, you know what, we'll do this. We're so excited, well, we'll circumcise, fine. Shem was excited because he was just thinking about the physical. He was thinking about the woman. He was thinking, okay, I can be with her forever, I can have more women, I can do this, I can do that, fine. It's worth to get circumcised for that. Chamor was thinking about Yaakov's money. He's thinking, Yaakov has so much money, if I get circumcised and all my people get circumcised, his money's going to become my money. So they have everybody circumcised. On the third day, Levi and Shimon find out that everybody's circumcised. They come, they see everybody's injured. They can't fight, they're not strong, they kill everyone. Kill everyone. So to finalize it is the last midrash we're going to learn. Once they come back, Yaakov finds out what they did, and he gets very upset at them. How could you do this? You're going to cause a war. This is a big problem. So they respond to him and they say, "Vayamru, achezonai ya'aseh et achotenu?" And they said, should he treat our sister like a harlot? What, she could just walk around and anybody could sleep with her? That's okay, that's it? That we should just let that happen? And Yaakov doesn't answer. About 300 years ago, there was a decree against the Jews by one of the nations, made the Jews suffer a lot. So the holy Jews tried to find out, why is Hashem giving us this difficult decree? Why is this happening to us? So there's a thing to do if you know how to do it, if you're around really holy people, is that you open the Torah anywhere, and the first verse that you see gives you a message. Gives you a message that's specific to you. So they said, okay, we're going to open the book, and the first verse is going to give us the message of why Am Yisrael has such a difficult decree. Why are the Goyim torturing us so much? Why? Okay, we know Esav hates Yaakov. We learned that already, but right now, what's happening? Is a Mashiach coming? Did we do something wrong? What's happening? So they open, and the first verse they see is this verse. Should he treat our sister like a harlot? Before they opened the book, there was a debate of what it could be. One side said, we think it's because the women today are not modest like they used to be. Imagine, this is 300 years ago. Everybody was modest in comparison to us. We're like monkeys next to them. But they're saying, no, the women are not modest like they used to be. We're not modest enough. The other side said, no, people are talking too much in the Beit Knesset. Talk about nonsense in the Beit Knesset. They go to shul, instead of praying, they talk about nonsense. In the Torah, you're not allowed to do that. So two sides. When they open this, they see this verse, and obviously this verse has to do with modesty. So the one side says, see, I told you, it's all because of the women. But then one of the righteous Jews there says, wait, let's see the midrash, let's see the interpretation here of what's behind the scenes on this. And they see the midrash of Rabbi Yonatan ben Uziel, who was the biggest student of Rabbi Akiva. Something we can't even understand. All of the people today, you combine all of their Torah together, is not even like a half of Rabbi Yonatan. All of them together. Something. They said that when he would study, the birds that would fly over him would burn in the air. That's how much kedusha he had. Rabbi Yonatan ben Uziel says, Shimon and Levi said to Yaakov, when Yaakov said he was upset to them, they responded to him, they're like, Abba, we don't want the people in the Beit Knesset to talk about our sister and how we just let her walk around in the street and somebody took advantage of her. We don't want people in the Beit Knesset to talk about that. Not people in the streets to talk about that, but we don't want the people in the Beit Knesset to talk about that. So when they read the Midrash, the people 300 years ago realized it's not just because of the women, it's also because of the men. We're all a unit. Am Yisrael is a unit. When Am Yisrael realizes how special it is, Am Yisrael will really reach its full potential. As long as Am Yisrael thinks that they're like everybody else, only problems we're going to have. Because Hashem said we're chosen. Hashem said that you're special. Hashem said that you have to act like a king. When you act like one of the local thieves, when you act like one of the local homeless people, when you act like one of the local people that's regular, but really in reality you're a king, it could create a problem. Because people are going to treat you like a local person. They're not going to treat you like a king. And that's the thing. If women knew how special they are in the Torah, they'd act like women. If men knew how important it is to be a Jew, they'd be excited to learn Torah. They'd be excited to be in Judaism. All we need to do is learn. That's it. It's not rocket science that you have to go to school for 100 years just to maybe get a job one day. Torah is easy. You learn a little bit every day. A little more, a little more, a little more, a little more. And eventually, when Hashem sees your effort, He gives you the rest as a gift. He gives you knowledge beyond your effort. But it's all based on your effort. You have to try. You have to take the first step. Hashem has proven to us once, time after another, that He's real. All we have to do is pay attention to the details. Whether you want to look at the details of Am Yisrael and the history of the nation of Israel, or you want to look at scientific details. This book has a lot of interesting things, but Be'ezrat Hashem will go over some of them maybe next week, or the next time we have a shiur. There's a lot of things that if you pay attention to any of the details, a lot of these things we don't pay attention to because they happen every day. Just last week's parasha, we learned about the situation with Avraham and Lavan, and we saw how during the negotiations between Avraham and Yaakov and Lavan changed the deal. Lavan changed the deal 100 times. 100 times he changed the deal. The cheater changed the deal 100 times. But in order to finally get what he did, what he rightly deserved, Yaakov showed us a secret. He showed us that if you breed an animal in a certain way, you will have much bigger success than if you just let things happen normally. He taught us in that parasha that he actually got the insight from an angel, which he talks about in the parasha, and he taught us that he actually knows about genetics. These genetic theories is actually in this book. I think it's page 170 if I'm not mistaken. It's in this book. But a lot of this stuff that people discovered just in the last 50 years, people think that it's they should give the credit to these people. They get all they're all smart because we have computers and we have this. But a lot of this stuff is already written in the Torah. All we need to do is just pay attention to the details. Yeah, it's page 174. This is regarding last week's parasha, page 174. It shows you how there was two theories in regards to genetics, Mendel's law of inheritance and the law of heterosis. But both of those laws, which will take a little more time, but you could read it, it's only a couple of pages. Both of those laws were really something of a discovery just in this last 100 years. But the beauty of it is that if you read these couple of pages, you'll find out that all of what he thinks he discovered, the scientist, was written in last week's parasha. All of the genetics, all of the wisdom, all of everything that people think they found out, they didn't discover anything. Even the theory of relativity that a lot of people gave to Einstein as credit for. Einstein became known as the smartest Jew. In reality, everything that Einstein wrote was already written by the Rambam 800 years ago. But nobody gives the Rambam any credit for it. So you see that in every parasha, there's a lot of things to learn. You could learn the same parasha every day for 1,000 years and still learn more stuff. Same one. But Hashem, as we continue to have shiurim, I'll get to know you more and we'll try to connect some of these things even to our own personal stories. But unless you guys have any questions. Baruch Hashem, again, thank you for having me. And Hashem will have more shiurim.
Very interesting.